I once told someone that they were cocky and they thanked me for it. How? Well, in this 2-minute top tip, I'm going to share how sometimes a really crunchy, difficult conversation can really make a difference to the other person. Okay, up front, I am not advocating for one moment that you tell people they're cocky or anything along those lines. I'm going to explain a couple of key elements that led to me having this conversation with someone and them thanking me. So first of all, a bit of context. This was when I worked in John Lewis. I was a senior leader working with some other senior leaders and some aspiring leaders. And we'd all been allocated some of the team, and one of my team was this particular man. And he was really good. I really liked him. I thought he had tons of potential, but he would come across in these ways that would aggravate people. And I really wanted him to do well, not just at the training event we were at, but also in his career, because he was great in so many ways, but I could see there was this one thing that was just holding him back constantly. And it was this kind of arrogant, slightly cocky nature that would come out. Over the course of time we were working together, I saw this happen several times. Now, there are two key things that I'd like to pull out from this. So one, the conversation and my decision to actually call it out and say, I think you can come across as cocky, was driven by one, the absolute desire to help him as much as possible. But why did I choose that word? I could have said arrogant, overconfident. I really felt with this particular individual that that word would get cut through, that word would land and get him to really listen. It was a bit of a risk, obviously, but I got a reasonable sense of him in the time we worked together, and I thought this word will cut through. And sometimes we need that, hopefully not very often. So driven from a place of really wanting to help him and to see him succeed, and being aware the language I use could mean the message would be heard or not. The next thing I want to pull out is the reason he thanked me. And that was because I gave him very clear examples of what he'd done that made him come across this way. And I asked him, look, can I share with you a few examples that I've seen that lead me to say this? And let's talk about them. So I shared with him 3 examples, and actually halfway through the second example, he kind of chuckled, and I paused, and I remember him saying, do you know what, Sonia? People have given me this kind of feedback many times over the years, that I'm too confident, that I'm arrogant. He said, no one's actually explained to me what it is I'm doing that makes me come across this way. When I gave him the examples, he could see it so clearly. And it was like a window, a door had been opened to what it was that had led to this feedback that he'd been given but never really understood. He got it. The word cut through, the examples illuminated it. He thanked me and he went off and he spoke to other people on the training and said, that is the best coaching session I've ever had. To be honest, it wasn't a coaching session. It was a difficult conversation, structured and delivered with examples to support the issue I was raising, to help that person, I would hope, flourish. So like I said, I don't get around telling people they're cocky or similar very easy. In fact, that's the only time I can think of doing it. And it was a very careful decision, driven from a place of wanting to help and really backed up by crystal clear examples that would help the person see what it was that was going on. It's a little bit of a different top tip today, but I thought it might be a nice example to share with you because it's quite pronounced in its nature and it brings together a number of things that if you watch my 2-minute top tips regularly, you'll be familiar with. So I hope that helps. I hope it's useful insight. And I really hope that that leader from many years ago has gone on from strength to strength.